This evening, let's explore the 38th poem of the Tao Te Ching. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi. This is the Lama you are looking for. This evening, we could chant and meditate and enjoy a lesson or two. But first, if you love Star Wars and you wish to meditate as transformatively as Rey on Ahch-To under the guidance of Luke Skywalker, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell. I'll be right back. Let's take a look at the 38th chapter of the Tao Te Ching, translated by Rosemary Anderson. Higher virtue does not display virtue and has virtue. Lower virtue displays virtue and is without virtue. Here's my little commentary. For those who have mastered the way, love is its own reward. For those who have not mastered the way, recognition, praise, and renown are tantalizing. Higher virtue acts and has no intent. Higher kindness acts but has no intent. Centered spontaneity will always trump scatteredness, no less contrivance and agenda. Higher righteousness acts with intent. Higher propriety acts, but if no one responds, it seizes power and compels. Contrivance convinces itself that the ends justify the means and turns toward exploitation. I'll be right back. Please bear with me. Okay, thank you for your patience. When the Tao is lost, the analog of virtue arises. When virtue is lost, the analog of kindness arises. When kindness is lost, the analog of righteousness arises. When righteousness is lost, the analog of propriety arises. Propriety means the thinning of loyalty and honor and portends the onset of confusion. Divination is to the Tao agonish and portends the onset of ignorance. We divinate in hopes of guiding our contrivance, tragically ignoring the wise counsel of centered spontaneity. Thus the great choose the kernel over the husk. They dwell in the fruit and not the blossom. They choose the first and not the second. Likewise, we may choose to flow from centered spontaneity rather than contriving with motivated, and they can take two, rather than contriving with motivation and means deeply flawed. Forgive me if my face looks stressed, having a tough time with hay fever, but I'm here and I'm going to give you my best. I'd like to start tonight's practice, but first I wish to subject you to an entire minute of housekeeping. Every 12 hours, I broadcast 1 or 2 meditation classes without any ads. This channel is supported, let's try this again. With your help, this channel could come support the next generation of nuns, monks, yogis, lamas, and even brick-and-mortar meditation centers, each replete with a resident teacher and their apprentice. If this speaks to you, and it sounds like a good idea, you're welcome to help out even for as little as the cost of 1 cup of coffee a month. Simply use your smartphone's camera to capture this QR code, or simply click one of the donation links in the description area below the video. Yes, let's tap button 9. That should do it. As many Buddhas as there may be in any world throughout the 10 directions, throughout past, present, and future, I honor them all, without exception, pure in body, speech, and mind. With as many bodies as atoms in all lands, I bow to all Buddhas with a mind directed to all Buddhas, by the power of the vow of the practice of good. Now we're going to do a quick edit. Okay, let me verify that the display is still synchronized, and let's continue our chanting. In a single atom, Buddhas as many as atoms sit in the midst of enlightening beings, so it is of all things in the cosmos. I realize all are filled with Buddhas. I laud all the Buddhas therein, expounding in our languages the qualities of all Buddhas within the oceans of manifestations. With the finest flowers, garlands, musical instruments, perfumes, and parasols, the finest lamps and incense, I make offerings to those Buddhas. With the finest clothes, fragrances, and mountainous baskets of aromatic powders, with the finest of all kinds of adornments, I make offerings to those Buddhas. Whatever be the best of offerings, I produce for them for all Buddhas. By the power of devotion to the practice of good, I honor and serve all Buddhas. Whatever evil I may commit under the sway of hating, craving, or clinging, bodily, verbally, or mentally, I confess it all. And whatever the virtue of beings everywhere, heroes, saints, and self-conquerors, enlightening beings and Buddhas, on all that I do rejoice. And all the lamps of the worlds in the 10 directions who have realized enlightenment and attained non-obstruction, I seek as guides that they may turn the supreme wheel of teaching. And those who wish to manifest extinction, I respectfully petition to remain for aeons as many as atoms in the land, for the welfare and happiness of all beings. By honor, service and direction, by appreciating, seeking, and requesting teachings, whatever good I have accumulated, I dedicate it all to enlightenment. May the Buddhas of the past be honored, as well as us now in the worlds of the 10 directions, and may those of the future be at ease, filled with joy, having realized enlightenment. May all the lands of the 10 directions be purified, supreme, and filled with Buddhas and enlightening beings as the tree of enlightenment. May all beings in the 10 directions be happy and well. May all beings' righteous aims be successful, and may their hopes be realized. As I am carrying out enlightenment practice, may I recall my lives in all states. In every lifetime as I die and am reborn, may I always transcend the mundane, learning from all Buddhas, fulfilling the practice of good. May I always practice pure conduct, ever free from defect. May I expound the teaching in the languages of gods and dragons, in the languages of demons and humans, and of all living beings. May those engaged in the ways of transcendence not stray from enlightenment, and may all evils to be inhibited be thoroughly extinguished. May I traverse the paths of the world free from compulsion, affliction, and delusion, like a lotus unstained by water, like the sun and moon unattached in the sky, extinguishing all the miseries of bad states and bringing all beings to happiness. May I act for the welfare of all beings in all lands everywhere. according with the conduct of sentient beings while fulfilling the practice of enlightenment, and cultivating the practice of good, may I thus act throughout future aeons. May I always be in communion with those who share my practice. Physically, verbally, and mentally, may I carry out these vows as one practice. And may I always be with my benefactors who teach me the practice of good. May I never displease them. Ooh, excuse me. May I always see the Buddhas face to face, surrounded by enlightening beings. May I make fine offerings to them forever unwearied. Preserving the true teachings of Buddhas, illuminating the practice of enlightenment, and purifying the practice of good, may I practice thusly for all future aeons. Migrating through all states of being, having acquired inexhaustible virtue and knowledge, may I become an inexhaustible treasury of wisdom and means, mindfulness, liberation, and all virtues. As I carry on the practice of enlightenment, may I see the inconceivable Buddha sitting among enlightenment beings, in the lands as numerous as atoms that are in each atom. Thus may I perceive the oceans of Buddhas and lands of all times, in each point in the 10 directions, as I practice for myriad aeons. May I ever penetrate the eloquence of Buddhas, the voices of all Buddhas which adapt to mentalities, the purity of articulation of all Buddhas by the sounds of the ocean of tunes. Welcome to the live stream. When you have questions about meditation or philosophy or chanting, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. Please be as specific as possible. Into those infinite voices of all Buddhas of all times, may I enter by Buddha power, turning the wheel of teaching. May I enter all aeons of the future instantly, and may I act in all aeons of all times within an instant. May I see all Buddhas of all times in one instant, and always enter this sphere by the magical power of liberation. May I produce the arrays of all lands of all times in an atom. May I thus perceive all the arrays of Buddha lands in the 10 directions. Learning the teachings of the lamps of the worlds to come, may I visit all the gods who have passed away to eternal rest. By a power swift and always, by the power of knowledge all-sided, by the power of practice with all virtues, by the power of universal love, by the power of goodness all pure, by the power of knowledge unobstructed, gathering the power of enlightenment, clearing away the power of acts, controlling the power of afflictions, and impairing the power of demons. May I fulfill all powers of the practice of good. Purifying oceans of lands, liberating oceans of beings, observing oceans of truth, plumbing oceans of knowledge, perfecting oceans of practices, fulfilling oceans of vows, serving oceans of Buddhas. May I practice untiring for oceans of eons. The lofty vows of enlightenment practice of the Buddhas of past, present, and future, may I fulfill completely. Practice what is good and realize enlightenment. all who share in the practice of Samantha Bandara, the sage of universal good, the foremost offspring of all Buddhas, I name them good. Pure in body, speech, and mind, pure in conduct with a pure land. As the sage Samantha Bandara is named good, may I become thus equally. May I carry on the vow of Manjushri to totally purify the practice of good. Tirelessly through all future ages may I fill all those tasks. May there be no limits to practice and no limit to virtues. Persisting in infinite practices, may I know all the miraculous creations. As long as earth exists, as long as all beings exist, as long as acts and afflictions exist, so long will my vow remain. May I give the Buddhas our words and the 10 directions adorned with truths. May I give celestials and human supreme happiness for aeons, as many as atoms. Those who develop respect and devotion on hearing the supreme dedication, seeking supreme enlightenment, they will be most blessed. May they abandon all evils and all bad associations, and quickly see limitless light Amitabha, if they have this vow of enlightening practice. Great is the gain worthwhile of their life. Auspicious the birth as humans may they soon be like the universally good enlightening being Samantha Bandara Bodhisattva. May those who have committed hellish crimes under the sway of ignorance quickly put an end to them all when this practice of good is expounded. Endowed with knowledge, distinction, and nobility, invulnerable to false teachers and demons, may they be honored by all in the triple world. May they quickly go to the tree of enlightenment, and sit there for the benefit of all living beings. May they realize enlightenment in the will of the teaching, and conquer the devil and all his cohorts. We're going to, now that we've reached approximately the 2/3 mark, we're going to pause our chanting and go to and do some silent contemplation, followed by silent meditation. This contemplation is known as Gondra or Vipassana, and this right view and right aspiration serve as an antidote to hating and craving. During our in-breath, we're going to play with rhetorical questions. During our inhalation, we're going to silently and mentally recite the first half. And during our exhalation, we're going to silently and mentally recite the second half. Let us perform merely one repetition of each exercise. Let us now work with a compassionate intention. Let us return to rhetorical questions and play with impermanence. Let us practice letting go by playing with not me. We now turn to silent meditation. This awareness and letting go could serve as an antidote to clinging, while also slicing through the fundamental duality of dread and desire. It is known by many names, such as Zen, Chan, Jnana, Great Completion Stage, Mahasandhi, Ati Yoga, Sutra Mahamudra, and Trekcho Dzogchen. Despite the grandiosity of its names, it's remarkably easy. As we breathe in, we watch the play of mind. How do we do that? By silently and mentally reciting, "Notice this." But how does that work? During each inhalation, we automatically access our sympathetic nervous system, ensconced within the thoracic region of our spinal cord. It is wired for sensory acuity, that we might notice sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like, such as emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. When we notice these things vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly, it could very much feel like the only label we need ever use is simply the pronoun this. That's all well and good, but what are we to do with all the stuff that we notice? Well, we're supposed to relax into mind's non-graspable nature. How do we do that? By mentally reciting the word relaxing during each exhalation. How does that help? Every exhalation automatically accesses our parasympathetic nervous system, ensconced in both our lumbar as well as cervical spinal cords. It is wired for both physical relaxation as well as mental release. Having received the pointing out instructions, let's practice. As you breathe in, it is perfectly okay for your posture to be tall, your lips to smile, the apples of your cheeks to smile, the crow's feet of your eyes to smile, your forehead, and as you exhale, it's perfectly okay for your forehead and the rest of your body to relax. Buddha knows those who hold this vow to practice this, who cause to be told of and taught. May the fruit of this be supreme enlightenment beyond any confusion. As the hero gentle voice Manju Shri knows, so too does universal good Sumanta Mantra. As I learn from them, I dedicate all this virtue. Acting in accord with that, may I remove all obstructions. May I see limitless light Amitabha face to face and go to his land of ultimate joy. There may all these vows be complete, having fulfilled them. May I work for the benefit of all beings in the world. May I abide in the circle of the Buddha born in a beautiful lotus, and receive the prophecy of Buddhahood there in the presence of Amitabha, the Buddha of limitless light. Having received the prophecy there with millions of emanations, may I work for the benefit of beings everywhere by the power of Buddha. By whatever virtue I accumulate, having invoked the vow to practice good, may the pure aspiration of the world be at once all fulfilled. By the endless surpassing blessings realized from dedication to the practice of good, may worldlings submerged in the torrent of passion go to the higher realm of limitless light Amitabha. If you feel I have earned it, type something in the chat window. Give this live stream a thumbs up and share it on social media. In approximately 11 hours, I would very much like to return for Monday's early morning meditation. Until then, may you and yours be happy and healthy, and if you are as geeky as me,